I'm sure you already noticed that there are a few different socket colors in the nodes. In the previous course, we didn't talk about them, but we already connected some nodes, and in most cases, we simply dragged links from one socket to another with the same color. Thanks to different colors, we know what to combine with what, so let's go through all of them. Probably the most common is a gray socket, so let's take a look at the roughness input in the principled shader. It allows to put a single value there, like with using the value node or math node, but it won't be any different than just changing the value on the roughness slider. We can also load something like a value map, what can be a texture. I prepared an example of a grayscale image. I have my gradient texture here, and now I will plug it into the roughness socket. Let's press Ctrl-Shift to see the texture preview. We see a gradient texture with white circle and black square. Now let's press Ctrl-Shift on the principled shader, and we see that the circle is very rough, but the square is very glossy. The gradient from left to right changes from glossy to more rough. It's because the values on the texture describe the roughness level. So if we put here a value of 0 before, it's the same as we would plug a black texture. Same with white color. It is a 1 value and it's pure rough. Thanks to that, we can plug the various grayscale images to this input and get a nice, varied appearance of the roughness. Next up, yellow socket. It represents color, so we can plug both color textures or grayscale textures. Here I have the color texture as a cookie logo, and let's connect it to the base color in the principled shader. We see a texture instead of just a plain color. You can plug the gradient texture we created earlier too. Blue socket represents vector, coordinate, and normal information. Let's plug the normal map to the normal input. Something is not right because we connected the yellow socket to the blue one, and for this type of textures we need a normal map node. So let's add one by pressing Shift-A, Vector, Normal Map. Now it is much better and we can see the effects of the normal map. Sometimes, for example for radius in subsurface scattering, you can plug a color directly to the vector socket because the colors are stored as the 3 RGB values and it gets converted to the 3 values in XYZ form and rescaled to 0-1 range. Keep in mind that it is a pretty big simplification, but in the end you don't need to use any separate RGB and combine XYZ node to have your radius in the subsurface scattering. This blue socket also carries information about texture coordinate, which we talked about in the previous lesson. The last one socket color found in shader nodes is green, and it's a shader or set of shaders that are giving the engine instruction how the light should behave on the object's surface. And that's all. Now let's talk about different color nodes as they are used very often to change the look of the textures we are using.